This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. A double murder took place in Bristol and all of the suspects were teenagers. The majority of the people convicted have been teenagers and the two victims were innocent and were just chosen out of sheer vengeance and rage associated to a war that was taking place between two areas in the city called Hartcliffe and Knowle. The police were able to determine that an attack that took place on a home was why they came to the area looking to hurt anybody they thought was associated to their rivals. And the police believe that Riley Tolliver, who was 18 from Holtsway in Weston-super-Mare, gathered together a group of teenagers who were 15, 16 and 17, and the driver, who has just been convicted, was Antony Snook and he was 45 years old. They all drove in January to Knowle to locate anybody that they thought was associated, and coincidentally Max and Mason were just walking down the street after meeting up to try and hang out together. Antony Snook drove all the teenagers from Hartcliffe to Knowle, the lead prosecution said in the case. They were all tooled up and they were out to find somebody. In the closing statement, they described the group as a pack of wolves that were hunting down the boys, and each of them played their part. The prosecution told the jury that Snook drove the teenagers, who were armed to the teeth, to Ilminster Avenue, where they were sharking around for those they believe were responsible for the earlier attack. Max had called round to Mason's family home on Ilminster Avenue at 11:15, and the pair had started to walk up the road. Mr. Tully added, as the defendants drove past, Max and Mason were walking down the street. They thought they had spotted somebody who was responsible for the earlier attack. However, they were completely wrong. Max and Mason had nothing to do with what had occurred earlier. In footage, Mr. Tully described as extremely difficult viewing, and the court watched as CCTV captured the moment that Snook turned the Audi Q2 around and the four teenagers jumped out and chased Max and Mason down, and they stabbed them multiple times. CCTV followed the Audi Q2 that was being driven by Snook, and as it travelled back to Hartcliffe with the four teenagers in the car. Despite the very best efforts of the police when they arrived 1 minute later, after receiving a call, Max and Mason died in hospital from their injuries. Police and the Major Operations Investigation Team, who supported the Neighbourhood Policing Team and CID, as well as specialist teams like the Firearms, Drugs and Drone Units, were all involved in the investigation that spanned 11 months. The senior investigating officer, Detective Superintendent Gary Haskins, said, "Firstly, I'm humbled by the family's strength, courage and dignity they have shown throughout this trial. The family members have been in court every single day, and these 5 people went out that night to seek revenge, and nothing will ever justify what they did. I also want to recognise the incredible work of the police and staff from the local force that took part, and all of the departments that worked together inside the organisation to solve these murders." In the aftermath of the incident, Bristol came together and the vigil took place in the city on the 27th of January.
Mr. Snook, can you just listen to my colleague a minute? Is that okay?
Hello. So the circumstances have now changed, so I'll be placing you under arrest for murder, 1 count of murder. So you don't have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention when questioned something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, okay? So the circumstances...
Mason's family said in a statement that our family was like a jigsaw puzzle, and without Mason, it's like part of our jigsaw is gone forever and will never be complete. Mason was a quiet boy who would never hurt a fly. He was so lovely and innocent. It's impossible to put into words how we feel, and the whole process has been incredibly hard, and hearing what we have heard and what happened to him. It's horrible to think about Mason's last moments. And these dangerous individuals took away our son, brother, nephew, uncle and grandchild, and we must now navigate for the rest of our lives with this missing piece of our puzzle. Max's family said in a statement that Max was a big character. He was happy and joyful and he took on life. He was funny, kind and caring, and as a part of a huge family, he was very popular with his friends. He was full of life and he had such a cheeky side, but he was always respectful. The past 6 weeks have been emotionally draining, and today's outcome doesn't change the fact that 2 families go without seeing their boys forever, but we're now hopeful and begin the process that these 4 people have been convicted and 5 have been sent down for their involvement. Antony Snook, who was the driver, 45 years old, from Hartcliffe, was found guilty of 2 counts of murder by majority verdict and will be sentenced on the 19th of November. Riley Tolliver, 18 years old, from Weston-super-Mare, along with 3 teenagers who could not be named, who were 15, 16 and 17, will be sentenced on the 16th of December. The 16-year-old was found guilty of murder by a majority verdict, and the 15-year-old pled guilty to one of the murders. All of them have been remanded in custody ahead of sentencing. So this really does show the dangers that are associated to just being misidentified now, the risks that these kids go around, even just wearing the same jacket as somebody or walking the same way or living in the same area can sometimes pose a risk. So always make sure you take precautions and make sure that you try to avoid any of these situations where possible. And rest in peace to Max and Mason. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and follow on social media as well at Scarcity Studios. Peace.